A good number of countries in Europe are led by old money royal families, but did you know that Italy was once one of them? The House of Savoy ruled Italy, and this family ruled for over 1,000 years. However, things changed in 1946 when Italians voted to abolish the monarchy. The once glorified House of Savoy was exiled, disgraced and stripped of all their jewels, titles and many possessions, not to mention the numerous scandals the Savoys faced during their time in exile. It has been 77 years since the monarchy was abolished, and now current members of the House of Savoy are attempting a royal comeback. Will that work out? Welcome to Luxurious Times. Today we will discuss the House of Savoy, an old money royal family from Italy. We'll talk about their history, present and future. Be sure to stay till the end, as you don't want to miss one of the worst scandals in Italian history. Of all the royal houses scattered across Europe, the House of Savoy is probably one of the least known. Even among those who have heard the name, the place is remembered for being the disgraced royal house and for multiple scandals. However, this house goes way back to the 11th century, over 1,000 years ago. This great Italian house was founded in 1003 by Umberto I, and ironically, the dynasty was abolished under the reign of Umberto II over 1,000 years later. Before we get to that part of this intriguing story, you may wonder how the Savoy family established their influence. Well, 1,000 years is more than enough time to build anything, but it also helped that the early Savoys were calculated people. They were skilled warriors who traveled from country to country, gaining control of as many territories as possible. At first, they gained control of the Western Alps, and over time, the Savoy Dynasty expanded their territory across France, Italy and Switzerland, establishing the Duchy of Savoy. For many centuries, the Savoys were one of the most important families in Europe, but they took their power to new heights when they conquered the Kingdom of Italy. After the country had been united, the House of Savoy was instated as the sovereign ruler of Italy in 1861. Victor Emmanuel II was crowned King of Italy, making him the first king of the family. Little did they know that the crown wouldn't remain in their family for as long as they thought. The Savoy kings had a good reign until World War II. The king at the time, Victor Emmanuel III, supported Benito Mussolini, an Italian dictator who became prime minister and the reason Italy fought in the war. Mussolini's fascist regime not only led to Italy's involvement in the war, but also resulted in the country's gross defeat. The country became a shadow of itself, and Italians blamed Victor Emmanuel III for supporting Mussolini in the first place. Due to the aftermath of the war, the king abdicated the throne in 1946, and in a bid to ensure the sustenance of the Savoy dynasty, a new king was appointed, Umberto II. Umberto was young and loved by the people, so the family thought he was their best chance at keeping the people on their side. However, their master plan was not as successful as they had hoped. Many still had grievances about the monarchy, and the motion to change Italy into an independent republic was pushed. So, the Italian institutional referendum was held in 1946, and the public chose between two options: a republic and the continuation of the monarchy. 54% of voters chose the republic, while 45% voted for the monarchy. On June 12th of that year, the House of Savoy officially lost all its power over Italy. They lost their lands, titles, family heirlooms, and crown jewels, and as if that wasn't enough, the family was banished from Italy. All the influence the family has built in over 1,000 years was stripped in one day, and even worse, they were sent out of their home country and told never to return. As the Italian royal family began to crumble, certain family members fled the country even before the referendum results were announced. King Victor Emmanuel III, who started this mess in the first place, was the first to leave. Once he abdicated the throne, the disgraced king fled the country to Egypt, where he died the following year. Umberto, his wife, Marie-José of Belgium, and their 4 children, along with other extended family members, were sent into exile. Being the only son of his father, Umberto and his family were the most affected by the banishment. While some of his siblings relocated permanently to France, the banished king went with his family to Portugal, where they stayed for a while. Unfortunately, the king and queen had an unhappy marriage, so they decided to part ways after the exile. Umberto chose to remain in Portugal, but Marie José and their children went to Switzerland. The banished princes and princesses spent most of their lives in Switzerland. Even though they weren't living the luxurious life they enjoyed back home, their lives were far from ordinary. They still got quality education and maintained ties with other rich old money families. A couple of them even got married to royalties from other kingdoms. The heir who would have been king, Prince Vittorio, became the center of a family feud when it was time for him to marry. Vittorio married his longtime girlfriend, Marina Doria, in 1971 against his father's wishes. However, it wasn't just his father that was unhappy about their union. His cousin, the Duke of Aosta, wasn't pleased either. They decided that that decision should cost Umberto his dynastic rights. Therefore, in their eyes, he had lost his right to become the head of the family and take on the title Duke of Savoy. Of course, Umberto did not share their sentiment, so a power contest unfolded within the family. This contest continued for years and is still unresolved to this day. Amidst the family feud, one thing the Savoy family could agree on was that being barred from returning home was cruel. The exile lasted longer than many thought, and some of the family members died in exile. For example, King Umberto, Queen Marie José, and some of the king's siblings. Not wanting to suffer the same fate as his parents and wanting his son to be familiar with his roots, Prince Vittorio began to petition for the ban to be lifted. The prince spent years lobbying for the Parliament of Italy to revoke the ban. The Parliament, however, wouldn't budge until 1999, when he filed a case at the European Court of Human Rights. The prince claimed that the long exile of him and his family was a violation of their human rights. The hearing was held 2 years later, during which the prince denounced any claim to any of their previous properties confiscated by the Italian government and said all he asked was to be able to go home. He said, "We have nothing in Italy and are not asking for anything." This hearing provoked compassion in the hearts of several parliament members, and they finally voted to lift the ban. But first, the prince and his son, Emanuele Filiberto, signed an agreement that clearly stated that the family would renounce all claims to the defunct throne of Italy and recognize the Republic as the only lawful government of Italy. The 57-year exile ended, and the Savoy house was finally allowed back into their home country. Their return was faced with mixed feelings. Some Italians took to the street to support the royal family. At the same time, the majority were either indifferent or hostile, holding up banners that showed support for other historic noble Italian houses. For the Savoys, however, all that mattered was that they were finally home. It has been over 20 years since the House of Savoy was allowed back in Italy, and in that time, plenty has changed. For one, Prince Vittorio has announced his successor, and many family members are unhappy. Naturally, his successor should be his son, Emanuele Filiberto, but the prince announced that his granddaughter, Princess Vittoria, would lead the family after him. This would make the young princess the first female leader in the history of the House of Savoy. The Duke of Aosta is first on the list of people who have a problem with this arrangement. The Duke said Princess Vittoria's claim was illegitimate, but her father and grandfather supported her, saying those who didn't support her wished they had her power. Family drama is normal in every family, but with the Savoys, these fights are confusing because there is no throne to inherit or fight over. Or is there? In 2022, Emanuele Filiberto started an effort to gain ownership of the family's crown jewels. These jewels have been locked up in a vault in the Bank of Italy since the abolition of the monarchy in 1946. Its estimated net worth is around $350 million, and even though Prince Vittorio signed them off to the government, his son has started a movement to regain ownership of what he calls their family heirloom. But that's not all Emanuele Filiberto has under his sleeves. For a couple of years, Filiberto harbored the idea of restoring the monarchy in Italy. He He plans to launch a royalist party, which would provide him with a platform to advocate for the reinstatement of the House of Savoy as the sovereign ruler of Italy. His plan is still in its early phase, but he is already meeting with some resistance. Apart from the documents Filiberto signed in 2002 alongside his father, his family has been involved in several scandals, dimming their chances of making a royal comeback. Prince Vittorio has been the center of most, if not all, of these scandals. The first and most popular one is the murder of Dirk Hamer, which was portrayed in the Netflix documentary The King Who Never Was. Hamer was 19 years old when he was accidentally shot by the prince, who was upset over a stolen dinghy. Hamer died from his gunshot wounds, and the prince was arrested and initially charged with unintentional homicide. However, this charge was waived off, and Vittorio was found guilty only of illegally possessing an M1 Garand rifle. Many Italians were and are still upset that the prince only got a slap on the wrist after committing such a huge offense. Another defaming scandal the prince faced happened in 2006 when he was arrested and imprisoned on charges of corruption and recruitment of prostitutes. And these are just a few of several other scandals. Between their damaged reputation and the repeated family disputes, the House of Savoy doesn't appear fit to lead a whole country. Besides, from the government's perspective, it is near impossible for the Italian throne to be re-established, given all the documents signed in 2002. However, some members of the family continue to push for the monarchy. This movement is still in its early phase, but who knows where Princess Victoria's era would lead the family. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the House of Savoy. Have you had a chance to watch the captivating Netflix documentary about them? Share your opinions in the comments section below. And if you found this video insightful and entertaining, simply tap on your screen to join us for our next captivating episode.